This is another RockerMike and Rob present the legendary living legend, Sonny Vincent, on his new album. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Returning guest. Welcome back.
Returning guest.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, Sonny, you've got a new album coming out soon, and we're all excited for you. It's called Snake Pit Therapy. It's out on, now I'm going to pronounce this hopefully right, Svart Records, or Svart, or what is it?
Svart, like you said
Svart.
first. That's
Svart,
the label.
yeah. I know they're a label from Finland, right?
Finland.
Okay, cool. So I believe the album is coming out in September. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's going to be released in September. And they've got a few video singles staggered, like 3 before the release.
3.
Yeah, it's so like the 17th of September, and you got right now the one that's out is The End of the Light. Very good video.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
No, I think it's fantastic. Best song I heard all year from anybody, new band, anything.
Oh, man, I can't wait till you hear the rest.
Yeah. So who do you got playing with you on this album? I know Paul Blackheart is on it. I'm very excited to hear that.
Yeah, Paul, he used to play with a couple of groups from back in the day. One was Corpse Grinders, and Arthur Kane had been in and out of the Corpse Grinders for a while. And Paul plays drums on most of it. A guy from Germany plays on 2 songs, a drummer. Wow. And then a friend of mine, Bobby Brenton, from LA, who did some tours with me, plays on another song. But it's mostly Paul on drums and different people, playing instruments.
Okay, cool. How long have you been working on this?
I worked on it it's kind of an interesting story because years ago I went to Florida where Paul lives, and we did some recording and went into a studio, like a vintage like a studio that wasn't digital. It was analog, and it was
analog,
a place
right.
a place where the Black Crowes recorded, so it was recommended to us.
Wow.
Right.
There, and I was living in Germany, and so I went to Florida and recorded an album with Paul, and then went back to Germany, and then I figured, well, okay, I'll finish up some of the lyrics and stuff, and then I'll go back to Florida and do the vocals. But what happened was the lineup I was using in Europe, one of the guys had a studio. It was a lot easier for me to just make new stuff and go to his studio down the street than fly all the way to, Miami to do vocals. Yeah. So basically that stuff stayed in the can, as they say, for a long time. And during COVID, I contacted Paul and said, hey, do we still have the stems, the individual tracks for all the stuff we recorded? So he did, and that was kind of a lifesaver because, during the whole lockdown process, I just built up the songs and and made them work.
Right. That's great. He kept all that stuff intact.
That was Sonny. I need to ask you about 2 record titles on this album.
Sure.
Japan Mofo and The Rain is Black Again.
The rain is black again is just kind of a bit dark, a bit depressing kind of a song. And Japan Mofo is different. That is kind of a happy song. And I started the lyrics on that one, and it was kind of like old school mentality where, a guy sees a girl and he's going, yo, who are you? And I thought, ooh, these days, a guy like flirting and, talking to a girl like, might be looked down upon. So I just kind of flipped the script. And so that song goes, I saw you checking me out. So
I love that title.
The title's great. Yeah. So it's kind of like an anti-Me Too song, or is it?
No. It's actually in support of Me Too. It's just like I'm walking downtown and the girl's checking me out, and I'm getting like, we're getting like a good connection, and I'm going, you can hear my heartbeat from here to Japan, and so that's where the Japan part comes in.
Hey, don't let Bill Cosby hear this song. He might get excited.
Yeah, I hear you. No, it's a pretty politically correct song, so no
I
And
worries.
can't wait to hear that song.
what about the track Whip Tree?
Oh my goodness, it's funny you ask about that, because when we recorded that, that was one where I did the vocals when I was in Florida, and Paul was going, Sonny, what the hell is this song about? You know, it's like you know, it's very brutal. It's almost like biblical in its
Whoa.
yeah, like when I was a kid, lived in Westchester, and
Nice.
at the end of our street was a very big old willow tree, and my cousins lived down the street and a couple of friends, and we had this small kind of posse, and I don't know where we came up with the idea, but one day we got up in the willow tree, we all broke off branches and stripped the leaves, so we had whips. And the game was that we're all on branches and holding our place, and we whipped each other, and whoever was left in the tree was like the king, won the game.
You won.
And the problem was we didn't expect the game to go so crazy, because at first, you're all in your spot in the tree and you got your whip, and then, you kind of in a fey way whip, somebody near you, and they go, hey, and then
Hello?
Yeah. Hello?
Hello?
Sonny?
Yeah, he's still connected.
yeah. Okay.
Say,
Hello, Sonny?
Sonny, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
what happened?
Calling and interrupted our feed.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So what would happen was like someone would whip somebody either by accident or on purpose a little bit hard, and then that person would get pissed, so
Sure.
Suddenly you're whipping on the neck and the face, and kids are going furious, and there's this kind of brutal kind of primal
going on.
Yeah, whipping in the tree, and kids are falling out of the tree and stuff. And so by the end of the game, people have been, they have welts across their face and on their back, and they're talk to each other for months after that. And so
it sounds like it sounds like a bottle rocket fight I had when I was a kid one time.
yeah, it was pretty brutal. And so that's the premise of the song Whip Tree.
That's cool. That's cool.
How
Now,
did you get the title for this album? It's a great title. I love the whole Snake Pit Therapy. It sounds like...
Yeah, Paul came up with that. Paul, we were just talking about album titles, and I don't even know if he said this would be applicable for an album title. He mentioned Snake Pit Therapy, or maybe it was to do, and I said, oh, that's awesome. Let's use that. I like the idea of it. And the Snake Pit Therapy was like in former times when they did weird psychological stuff in, like,
I was thinking of the Barbara Stanwyck movie when I first saw it.
Oh,
the old Barbara Stanwyck movie, The Snake Pit.
Oh, there was a snake. Oh, yeah. I didn't know that, but
that's a great movie.
I know that. Yeah, one of the treatments, before they did the shock treatments and the lobotomies and all, they tried all different things. And there was one where they would have kind of a pit, like a big bathtub filled with snakes, and they'd throw a patient in there, and they'd come out and they say, well, maybe that works. That motherfucker's all calmed down now. It's like
fucking traumatized for life, from
exactly.
being around. Yeah.
No trouble anymore.
That's that movie with Barbara Stanwyck from the 40s, and she's in an asylum, and she's crazy, and there is a snake pit, and it's crazy.
I have to watch it.
Yeah. They used to do stuff. I mean, Frances Farmer, the actress, Jessica Lange played her in a movie one time. Wrote a book about her life, and they used to put people in tubs of ice.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, blocks of ice, and leave you there like for the whole night. It's crazy. Torture.
Yeah.
But I got to mention now, Snake Pit Therapy. You also released a book recently this year. Okay, and it's a book of your memories, your life memories, your stories, and some poetry. And you sent me a copy of that, and I loved it, man. And it's out on Far West Press. If anybody wants to check it out, pick up that book. It's still available, right?
Yeah, they can get it from Far West, and it's also available on Amazon. And like I had the album title, and then the publisher, a guy named Willie, he wanted to put out the book. And then I was asking the label, would it be smart or proper to name the album and the book the same title? So they thought it would be kind of a cool cross promotional thing, so that both have the same title.
Yeah, maybe they'll both, people will look at it, they'll get both, I would.
I gotta get that book, man. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I'll show it to you, Rob. It's very cool. And
I don't see that.
One thing I wanted to, if you don't mind talking about the book for a second, Sonny.
Sure.
One thing that I really loved in the book, and I wish you could expand on it more later on or at some point, is your relationship with Bobby Stinson.
Oh, dude, I could write 5 books,
and you kind of, you said that in the book. You said you had so many memories of the guy, and but I mean, the chemistry you guys had playing. I wish I had seen it. I mean, it just seemed like you guys were meant to play together.
It was a kind of a beautiful disaster, I loved Bobby dearly, but he, you had love for the guy because he was such a naughty kind of troublemaker. We had a band, and there was one kid in the lineup for a while, and he was from Minnesota. So when I lived in Minnesota for some years, and he was a kid that when he was in high school, he took out his pocket knife and carved into the school desk the replacements.
Yeah, great band.
So you could imagine, like when he finally got in a band with me and Bobby, and Bobby being from the replacements, this kid was like over the moon. But eventually the kid said, I can't be in this band. I can't play with Bobby. It's driving me crazy. Everything's insane, And so he went from, being like the biggest fan on earth to like being destroyed practically. So we went to therapy together, the band. It was like before Metallica thought of it, it was like way long ago, but that didn't really help. What happened was we were trying to like help Bobby become a different person, but in the process we were all becoming Bobby. It's just
his personality took over, right?
Oh God, yes.
That band was called the Model Prisoners, am I correct?
Well, we have different kind of formations. We had a thing called Shotgun Rationale for a while, and then we in the middle of that it was called Model Prisoners for a while. There was a time when I was living in this loft in St. Paul, which is right next to Minneapolis, and I had Cheetah on the phone, and
Cheetah Chrome.
Yeah, and Cheetah's it wasn't doing much at the time. So I said, well, why don't you come on out here and we'll put a real wild show together with, you, me and Bobby and a couple other dudes. So Cheetah flew out there, and it was weird because Bobby, the whole time, between when we agreed and Cheetah was preparing to come to Minnesota, Bobby was going, what kind of guitar does he play? And then what gauge strings does he use? And what kind of plectrum does he? And I was going, Bobby, it was like he wanted to know everything. And Bobby has such an odd sense of humor. When Cheetah arrived, we're in the studio, and there's Bobby, there's Cheetah, and I said, Bobby Stinson, this is Cheetah Chrome. And Bobby looked at Cheetah and said, bend over. Like that,
Shit. Oh shit!
Yeah, and but Cheetah loves that kind of humor, so they got along famously.
Hey, Sonny, let me ask you a question. Do you ever play at First Avenue?
Yeah, sure, I did. Yeah, in fact,
I've been there a few times because I stayed in Minnesota for 2 years. I used to go to the Metrodome, and I used to see the Vikings and the Twins play in there. And I went to First Avenue a bunch of times.
Yeah, I played there, played the main room, and there was also there was a little club attached called 7th Street Entry, and played there a number of times. It's great.
Yeah.
Because that was Prince's old place.
Yes, that's what made it famous. Yeah,
Prince.
Yeah, when I was reading your book, it struck me how much Minneapolis, affected you in a good way. Okay, as far as creativity and playing in these bands. But one thing you mentioned is when you first got there, you got to see Husker Du. And Husker Du is a great band. And I got to ask you, on this new album, how much of an influence was Husker Du? Because in the opening of the End of Light, I'm hearing just Husker Du all over that. What do you think?
It's not really, because
No?
like if you go to my music, like with Testors before
Oh,
Husker
yeah.
Du were even in their diapers, we had
You were
those
doing
kind of
that.
riffs, you know.
Yeah,
So
you
it's
were doing that. Yeah.
yeah. So we had it's kind of weird because like I remember when I played with Scotty Ashton from the Stooges, and
Yep.
his brother produced one of my albums, and like sometimes people assumed that I also had a Stooges influence, but I said to those guys, when you guys were teenagers, what did you listen to? And it was the same stuff I listened to, like the Dave Clark Five, the Stones, the Kinks, the
Right.
Yardbirds, you know. And then from all that, they came to their music, and I came from the same kind of listening, a little bit different because I'm from New York, so I saw the Fugs when I was a kid, you know, and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but I never like I think I had already recorded a couple of albums worth of material before I even heard like the Velvet Underground or the Stooges.
Yeah,
So
and I have to apologize because I've made that mistake with you a couple of times. But the thing is I don't know what it is, Sonny. You seem so young to me. Okay, it's like I almost like I feel like I'm talking to a guy that's my age or maybe a little bit older. But not that you're old, but I'm just saying you were doing that stuff at a parallel time as them, pretty much, or even before.
yeah,
So
before, definitely before
Husker Du.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
but it can go that way if you're still a little bit unknown and under the radar. Like I remember when I came out with my first album, someone up in Canada reviewed it and said, you know, and he assumed we were a fresh, young, brand new group, and he wrote an enthusiastic article, and he said, these guys are so hot and they really capture that 77 sound. Some bands
You were
try to
there in '77.
right. I did. Of course, I capture it. I was like, you know, doing it back in
Part of
70.
it, part of it.
Yeah. So,
But you're in a unique place, really, because you're not as well known as some of the other '70s bands of that era,
yeah.
but at the same time you were there, and you were uh, doing very similar stuff, and even originating some of that sound. Okay, and
Yeah.
then you're still kind of in that unknown area, so it sounds fresh every time. And I've gone back and I've really, over the last couple of weeks when we talked about doing this show today, I went back and I listened to a lot of your stuff, and you really were ahead of your time, and I got to tell you, it's true. But you don't seem to get a lot of that credit. How do you feel about that? Do you feel you should, or
that can happen. I mean, when we were playing Maxes and CBGBs, like our music was a bit darker than the other bands. Like it wasn't like something warm and fuzzy that you could wrap your arms around and feel good. You know, it was like, you know, some of the great groups, you know, that I love still had kind of joyful rock away beach, you know, and stuff like that, you know, get off of the phone, no, he's home, you know. It's like we had like, you know, a song called It's Only Death, you know. It's like
Awesome.
So we were a bit darker, and we're into maybe more like serious content, you know. Later on in my career, I said, well, you know, maybe I should write a song about falling in love, you know. So I did go into different areas of expression, but the early Testors stuff was, you know, and the people around us were saying like, you know, hey, why don't you slow it down? Why don't you, you know, make it a little more radio, you know, like
radio friendly?
And so that's why later, when the hardcore scene started, I could really relate to the attitude. It'd be like going to like, you know, one of the hardcore bands and say, well, maybe you could put more melody here, or make it a little slow down. And you know, did you ever hear Blondie? You know, it's like that, you know. So we were sticking to our guns and didn't care what anybody said. And I think for people that discover the music, they can hear that in the music, that kind of commitment, you know. And we didn't, you know, plan it that way. It's just how we were, you know?
Yeah. And that's another example of what I'm saying, how you were a little bit ahead of your time. You know, you had those darker themes when nobody else was doing that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like I'm, putting down Blondie. I mean, if I'm in a supermarket and
No.
I hear a Blondie song, for that, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
but we just had our own thing that was different from a lot of the other things going on.
Do you think that your darker sensibilities in your writing, you think that had anything to do with being like huge Velvet Underground fans?
No, because I hadn't heard the Velvet Underground till after Testors even broke up. So
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
I was from like Westchester, and a lot of the kids in New York City, like I don't know, like intellectual families, and had like a broad experience of having music introduced to them, and like the Velvet Underground was a band that anyone had heard of them, where I was kind of from some crummy home life, and then I was a street kid, and I hadn't heard the Velvet Underground until way after Testors.
They were too artsy for you in the beginning.
Well, I just hadn't heard them.
Yeah, you weren't exposed to it.
I had one. I actually been to the factory when I was 13, but I still hadn't heard the Velvet Underground. So, but later when I heard them, I discovered a kinship. I heard them and I loved them. And actually, Mo Tucker, she produced one of my albums. And,
right. You played with her too, right?
Yeah. We toured with Mo for 9 years.
Wow.
And Sterling Morrison joined the band, and me and Sterling used to, share hotel rooms together, because Mo wouldn't have single rooms because she was just that. She was a good, drill sergeant.
Yeah.
And, we, it was. Say, Sterling, tell me what it was like, to have like a cool, popular band in New York City in the 60s. And, he would just tell me, it's kind of like these days when say, oh, I wish I had been in the middle in New York, it's like they really think it would have been cool for them. When I heard the 60s stories from Sterling, they were very, very interesting and enlightening.
Not quite what you thought.
a lot of stuff was shocking, but a lot of it was interesting, cool stories. Cool.
Oh yeah, and I'm a big Velvet Underground fan, and I know a lot of those stories. I've read them in books and stuff, and I mean, they really had a hard time, with shows and being accepted, and it took a lot of years really for that to all come around.
Oh, definitely. One of my cool experiences, which is, really cool in some ways and almost humbling for me, was that when we were playing with Mo and Sterling Morrison was in the band, we did some Velvet Underground songs and Mo sang them. And there was one song that Sterling was playing, like he hadn't played the song for years. And we were in a hotel room. I said, hey, Sterling, I think it was Pale Blue Eyes or something. I said, you're playing that song wrong from how it is, how you did it on the album. He goes, no, it's not true, man. What are you saying? And I sat on the corner of the bed and showed him on the original. So for me, it was kind of like saying, hey, Jimi Hendrix, you're playing Purple Haze wrong. Like, it was really an honor,
Yeah. Now, getting back to the new album, all right, it's been described as 15 tracks of electrifying shock treatment with catchy primal screams and searing melodies. My question, Sonny, is there a ballad on the album?
Let me think. Yeah, there are. There's a couple ballads. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yep. Couple of ballads on there. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Ruby what is it? Because I haven't heard the whole thing. Ruby Diamond, maybe?
Ruby Diamond is more like a weird Lost in Space kind of song. There's one called Can't Absorb. And that was
see that.
Oh, I like that title. I also like the Higher Than Charlie.
Higher Than Charlie is
that's a good title.
Yeah, it's a little bit based on Charlie Manson.
Oh shit. Well, didn't you play with Charlie Manson's guitarist or something?
Guitar/bass player. That was weird because I was out in LA putting a group together with a drummer from Minnesota. We drove from Minnesota to LA. And we tried out all kinds of people, and we found this one guy. He looked kind of more like a student or something, and really super nice guy, but could play, insane. And so we were walking around in LA, and his name was Ernie Knapp, and I said, Ernie, what was it like out here in LA when all that Charles Manson stuff was going on? And he goes, well, I played in Charles Manson's band. And I said, what? And I said, what? Tell me about it. And he said, well, you see that restaurant over there was kind of like a Denny's. He goes, that machine that gives you the newspaper. He goes, I hadn't seen Charlie in a while since I played with him. And one day when I went to get my breath, I grabbed a newspaper. It was a full frame picture of Charlie on the front of the LA Times. And he said,
the murders.
Yeah. And he was very shocked. So, I mean, Ernie, because he was quite a bit older than me. And he was one of the first surfers out in Los Angeles because,
really?
Yeah, he explained to me how the surfing came from the whole Hawaiian people and the Hawaiian scene. And then kids had been to Hawaii and saw these guys surfing, and it leaked and was brought over to LA. And he was in one of the first in LA. And the other weird thing about Ernie was he played bass in the Beach Boys for a year and a half.
Well, yeah, there's that Manson Beach Boys connection that some people might not be aware of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because
that is very weird.
Because like he didn't have that connection, the same one with Dennis Wilson. He just happened to have played with Charlie Manson, and then later was on bass when Brian couldn't do the tour. So
right.
Yeah.
So what was it? Wasn't Mike Love the connection with everybody there? Like he was more tight with Manson, right? For a while.
No, that was Dennis, the drummer.
Oh, it was Dennis. It was Dennis.
Yeah,
okay.
He picked up some girls hitchhiking and brought up the house.
That's right.
Charlie was at the house, and in the end of it, Dennis got all scared. Of course, because everything weird was happening.
Sure. Wow. So, can we expect a tour? Can we expect a tour when this album comes out?
Oh yeah, I suppose sometime. Yeah, we're still kind of.
I know you're feeling it out with COVID, but
feeling it out and seeing what's going on. So at some point, I'm probably gonna do some shows.
Yeah. Well, we definitely would want to see that. You got to play Bowery Electric or something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I played there some years ago, and that was fun.
That's cool.
So, Sonny, how long did it take you? Because this album got like 15 tracks, which is a lot.
It took a while. I think about a month or two, but I was living in Holland, and I had to fly over to North Carolina because my family was in an accident. So I was taking care of my grandson for like 5 years. And I didn't do any music during that time. I became, I was like taking him to Boy Scouts, taking him to treatments, taking him to the hospital for surgeries, and just devoted my whole life and time to that. And at one point I started to kind of lose my compass. I was thinking, Jesus Christ, I'm sort of like a soccer mom now. I'm not like a, musician anymore, but he got healed up and more resilient. And I decided to get back, working on some music. So once doing the album, I realized that it was kind of an album that represents a emergence from, having a break. And it went really quite fast.
Okay. So tell us about the video for The End of Light. Okay. Because I'm just curious. It's very dark. It's black and
very
white.
dark.
And it seems like you're trying to get over something that's happening in the video, just in the way that you are. There's like a guy in chains, and there's like a scene in the train station. Where did you film the video? Sonny, let me see if Sonny, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. You sound fine.
Okay. Yeah. The video. There was a guy who made another video. Like he didn't even ask me, and suddenly a video popped up on YouTube, and it was this song called Clouds. And on that song, I recorded that song in Belgium. And it has Rat Scabies from The Damned on drums, and it's got Glenn Matlock from the Sex Pistols on bass. And so suddenly there was a video on YouTube with imagery, and he made this video called Clouds, and I really liked it. And he wrote me a message, and I said, yeah, I really think it's good. And then once I finished the album, I said, hey, maybe you'd like to make a video for this song. And so he did. It's a guy that lives in Hamburg, Germany, and I lived there for quite some time, so I had some connections and stuff, and I guess I had run into him here and there, and he made the video.
Okay, so you filmed it in Germany?
No, he filmed in Germany, and I did some filming here in the States and sent it to him.
And he edited. Yeah, okay, I got you.
So he did he did the editing, and we just finished another video for another song from the album, which is like way different from that one. This one is like kind of shocking and insane, but
what song is that?
It's called Stick, STICK.
Okay. Yeah, it's the first track on the album.
Yeah.
That's the opening track to the album.
Yep.
Stick.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And that when will we see that? Possibly. When will that drop?
That's going to be out. That's going to be out in either July or August. There's going to be 2 more videos. Stick, and then Can Absorb will come out just before the album's released, and so and everybody will get to see those 2 videos, and then the album will be available.
All right, cool. All right, Sonny, I want to thank you for coming on. Okay. And I'd like to definitely, keep in touch with me. Let me know when these other videos are coming out. We'll put them up on the pages, and
sure.
And let's tell the folks out there how to get the album, because you can pre-order it. Yes. It's on Svart, SVART, records.com. You can pre-order it. And from what I'm saying, it looks like it's on CD and vinyl. Am I correct?
Yeah, black vinyl with 8-page booklet.
And a booklet. Yeah. And colored vinyl too, or just regular black vinyl?
It's going to have translucent blue vinyl.
Cool.
But you can buy the CD or the vinyl, and you can also get the vinyl like in a bundle with the book.
Oh, okay. And what we got? Some pictures. What do you got? Like lyrics? What do you have in the booklet?
In the booklet, it's got pictures. It's got all the lyrics. It's got who plays on what and where we did it.
All right, cool. Any new book coming out? Maybe Snake Pit Therapy Part 2. More stories.
Far West, they book. It's kind of small and easy to get through it, and his concept is that people can just stick that in their pocket. And
I did on the subway for a week. I read
it. Cool, man. Yeah. And so there was a limitation of how many stories he could put in it, because it was a format that he kind of that's their kind of their idea. And but I suppose he'll put one out because I got tons more stories.
Okay, excellent. And if people want to find you on social media, what are your handles? Like, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, right?
Yeah. I think on Instagram it's Sonny Vincent 77, something like that. And on Facebook it's just Sonny Vincent. And they can find me.
Yeah, and Sonny, I'm gonna put a link to that fantastic video you put on YouTube, The End of the Light, so a lot of people can see that. So I'm definitely gonna link that, and I'm gonna link a lot of your social media. I'm gonna link the things so people can pre-order this great album that you got coming out.
Oh man, thanks a lot.
Yeah, and it really is. I'm not just saying that. Every year for the last 2 years since we've been doing these shows, we've done like at the end of the year we do like a record of the year, and I pick like my favorite new album of the year, and I gotta say right now you're number 1, so you're gonna hang on there for 6 more months.
I really appreciate it, and since you guys are brothers and so cool, if you promise not to leak this out, I'll send you the rest of the songs by email.
I will not leak them out. I will treasure them, man. Thank you.
Because I will be going against my contract if I leak them out, because they're kind of serious about the campaign. One thing comes out at a time. But
we won't put them out, but I will be listening to them. I promise.
But Sonny, cool. We get a lot of music sent to us, and we haven't leaked anything out. But this is what I want to ask you: on September 17th, will it be possible for you to maybe sing one of the songs on a podcast?
Maybe, yeah. I think so. I think I could maybe do that.
Could we do like maybe like a little video, maybe an acoustic kind of thing or something simple?
That's possible, man. Let's talk about it more.
Yeah.
We'll talk about, because I'd love to have you playing your instrument and just being you, and I think it'll be fantastic, and people will see.
Yeah,
what
we've
you're
done
all
that
about.
a couple of times. Yeah, we did that not too long ago. Also, everybody, July 7th is your birthday, Sonny. So I just want to wish you a happy birthday. It's a week from today, right?
Oh, that's really nice. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Rob.
All right.
And Mike.
Okay, so thanks for coming on, and everybody go to svartrecords.com, pre-order that, and we're going to be in touch, and we're going to keep putting out information on this album, and I can't wait to hear the whole thing, so send it to me.
I will.
All right, you take care of yourself now, Sonny.
Take care, guys. Thanks, man.
Okay.
You too. Have a great one. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Have a great summer. Bye-bye.